Morning everybody. Today we are going to be talking about scatter plots again, but this time we are going to be predicting more with linear models. So we're going to use these scatter plots to predict a little bit more than we have been before. So this first problem is saying we need to write the equation of the best fitting line. So what we need to do first is we need to, 1, label our points. Alright, we need to label our points for the first one. So we need to find two good points, or 2 points on our best fit line where the line is going through. It looks like we have one here and we have one here. Both of these points are at an intersection of our graph, so we can say that these two are good points. This point right here is at point 1, 1. This point down here is at point -1, down 1, 2, 3, 4. So -1, -4. Secondly, after we label our points, we need to find the slope. Labeled our points, now we need to find our slope. So we can do the rise over the run to find our slope. So from here, we're going to go up to our other point. So our rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for m, our rise is 5 over 1, 2. 5 over 2. Now that we have our slope, our third step is to write our equation. So the equation that we need to write is in point slope form. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Now for this problem, I think I would like to use points 1 and 1. You could use -1, -4, it doesn't matter, as long as you pick either 1 and 1 or -1, -4. So what we're going to start with is y minus y1. If we're using 1 and 1, y1 is 1, equals our m, which we found was 5/2, or 5 over 2, times x minus x1. If y1 is 1, our x1 has to be 1 as well if we're using this point. So what we end up with is y minus 1 equals 5/2 times x minus 1. Now we need to get rid of these parentheses, and we're going to do that by drawing our box. So 5/2 goes out in front, and x minus 1 is on top. 5/2 times x is 5/2 x. 5/2 times -1 is -5/2. So y minus 1 equals 5/2 x minus 5/2. Okay, now we need to get y by itself, so we're going to add 1 and add 1. So y equals then 5/2 x. 5/2 plus, or -5/2 plus 1 should give us positive 3/2. So positive 1/1/2. So here's our equation. So now what we need to do, it says use your equation to find the value of y when x equals 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to put put 3 in for x. So what we have is y equals 5/2 times, instead of x now we're going to put 3 in, plus 3/2. So what we get when we multiply 5/2 times 3, hold on, I'm going to put it in my calculator quick. So 5/2 times 3 gives us 7.5 plus 3/2. So 7.5 plus 1 and 1, or 1.5. Y equals 9. Now we need to see if this answer would be reasonable. So what we need to do is we need to look at where x equals 3. Then, if we go up from x equals 3, we would eventually run off our graph. But when we hit 9, or once we get up to 9 on our y-axis, if this best fit line would hit that, then our answer would be reasonable. If this y equals 9 makes sense when our dotted line at 3 hits our best fit line, then we know our answer is reasonable. Even though it runs off the graph, I still think that this best fit line might hit 9 once we get up there. So we're going to check off that our answer is reasonable here. Y equals 9. Alright, for this next problem, we are going to do the same thing. We're going to write the equation of the best fitting line. So what we need to do first is we need to find 2 good points. Now remember, these good points are where the line, or the best fit line, crosses an intersection. So it looks like we have one here. This could be a point because our line crosses that intersection. But it doesn't look like we have any other on our line. Here these points are on the line, but they're not at an intersection. So it looks like our best bet is right here, at this point. That point crosses an intersection. So if we label our points, this would be negative 1, 2, 3, 4, so negative 4, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4, so negative 4, 4. Down here, we are going over 2, and down negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So 2, negative 3. So after we labeled our points, our next step is to find the slope. The line is going downhill, so we are going to do rise over the run, but we're going to count down first, which means our slope's going to be negative. If we count down, we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So down negative 7, and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So negative 7 over 6. This is our slope. Now we need to write an equation. So we're going to write it in point slope form. So it's going to start with y minus, then whatever y1 we choose. I want to choose this point, so 2, negative 3. So our y1 then is going to be negative 3. So y minus negative 3 equals our slope, which was negative 7/6, times x minus x1, which was 2. Now over here we have two negatives in a row, so we can make those positive. So our point slope equation is y plus 3 equals negative 7/6 times x minus 2. So we're going to get rid of our parentheses first by drawing our box. So we have negative 7/6 and x minus 2. Negative 7/6 times x is negative 7/6 x. Negative 7/6 times negative 2. I'm going to put this in my calculator. Equals about 2.3. So a positive 2.3. So what we get is y plus 3 equals negative 7/6 x plus 2.3. So we need to get y by itself, so we need to subtract 3. And when we subtract 3, we're subtracting it from our like terms. So 2.3 doesn't have an x, and y doesn't either. So we're going to subtract those. And we get y equals negative 7/6 x. 2.3 minus 3 will give us a negative 0.7. So what we need to do now is we need to use our equation to find the value of y when x equals 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 3 in for x. So we'll get y equals negative 7x, or negative 7/6 times 3 minus 0.7. So negative 7/6 times 3 gives us about 3.5, or negative 3.5, minus 0.7, so what we get is negative, or y equals negative 4.2. So y equals negative 4.2. So we need to see if this answer would be reasonable. So what we need to do then is go over to our graph. We need to look for x equals 3. So if we were finding x equals 3, we have 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go from 3, and we're going to go down to our best fit line. Where we hit that will be our point at y. And then if we go over to our y-axis, we see that it's at negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, about negative 4. So our answer of y equals negative 4.2 is very close to y equals negative 4. So that means our answer is yes, it's reasonable. As long as it's close, it means it's reasonable. It makes sense. Alright, for this problem we need to make our own scatter plot. Here our numbers are going up by 2, so this would be 2, 4, 6, -2, -4, -6. These here are only going up by 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, -1, -2, -3. So our x for the first one is -1. So we're going to go over halfway to -1. Then up to 3. And our first point is there. Then we're going to 0 and up to 3 again. Then 1 to 1, so 1 and up 1. Over to the right 1 and up 1. Over to the right 2 and up 0. And over to the right 4 and down -1, 2, 3. I got these points from this table here. So -1, -3, or -1, 3 is right here. 0, 3 is here. 1, 1 is here. 2, 0 is here. And 4, -3 is right down here. So now it asks us to draw a line of best fit. So we are going to draw a line through our points. And we would get a line that looks like this. So there's our best fit line. It is going down. It has a negative correlation. What we need to do now is approximate the value of y when x equals 8. So when x equals 8, we're going to go over to 2, 4, 6, 8 would be here. And we're going to go down until we would find our best fit line. Now it's going to run off of our graph. So if we just extend our line, we know that this is -3, then this must be -4. We could extend it to -5, -6, maybe -7. So when x equals 8, y would equal about -7. This is just an estimate because we are approximating the value of y. So y equals about -7. And our last problem of the day, we are going to make another scatter plot. This one says the table shows the monthly profit of a small company. In January, they made $1,200 in profit. February, $1,250. March, $1,400. April, $1,380. They went down a little bit. In May, they went back up to $1,450. So we're going to make a scatter plot of this with x representing the number of months since January and y representing the profit. So in January, the month since January is 0. So the month since January is 0, and in January there was $1,200 of profit. So put a dot at 1,200. In February, 1 month since January is $1,250. So a dot halfway between 12 and 1,300. In March, it was 1,400, so it makes a pretty big jump. April, we have 1,380, so a little bit less than 1,400, but not much. And in May, 1,450, so halfway between 1,400 and 1,500. So we need to create a line of best fit. Our line of best fit is going to go through the middle of our points. And that's what our line would look like there. So if we were going to approximate the profit in July, we need to figure out how many months after January July is. So at 0 it's January, 1 it's February, 2 it's March, 3 it's April, 4 it's May, 5 would be June, and 6 would be July. So at 5 in June, it's about 1550, which would make 6 in July probably about, well, sorry, in June it was about 1550, so in July maybe about 1600. So in July, y would equal about 1600. So again, this is just an estimate or a guess. This is not exact. We're just approximating it. So the profit in July was about $1,600. Alright, that's it for our notes. We have a test the next time I see you, so make sure you study. Go grab a worksheet that will help you on your test next time.